All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for coming tonight. Just a quick announcement, we're going to take a break next week. Next week there's a 3-day weekend holiday, so we're going to take the week off, this next Sunday off, and then we'll have speeches for the rest of June after that. Most everyone has heard of Thomas Edison. Fewer have heard of Nikola Tesla. Most everyone knows what Thomas Edison did in his life, but few know of the achievements and accomplishments of Tesla. Born in Eastern Europe, Tesla came to the United States in the late 1800s and started a revolution that ended in obscurity. Marko is going to tell us what we don't know of the life and work of Nikola Tesla. I'm going to keep it very short and let Marko have his time. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. So tonight I'm going to be speaking about one of my personally favorite figures in the world of science and probably one of the most significant scientists of 20th century. So basically, why is Tesla so important for today's society? In Edison's time, until the arrival of Tesla, there was only electric motors that works in DC, direct current, and they were supplied from DC system. So with Edison direct current system, electricity was produced not by batteries, but by a DC generator. So the generator actually produced alternating current, which was then converted to direct current with a commutator. So basically, before Tesla, DC can be transmitted up to 2 kilometers. So that basically means if a small city, small town, need to be supplied with electricity, you would need to have more than hundreds of small electrical power plants. So that's basically impossible, and it's a waste of money. So what Tesla did here, and why he did it, because it was impossible to send the electricity on the long distance because the heating losses in a conductor were too high. So in order to send the current on a long distance, you need to we would need to make the voltage high, and with the current DC current, that was impossible. So Tesla came up with something that's called three-phase electric power system, and it's a common method of alternating current, electric power generation, transmission, and distribution. It's a type of polyphase system, and it's the most common method used by grids worldwide to transfer power. It's also used to power large motors and other large loads. So yeah, there's a lot of technical stuff that I want to skip. Yeah, so basically today we are like having electricity that it's maybe produced in some country far away that we don't even know. I mean, like just taking it for granted. But imagine that if that wasn't invented, it would be impossible to send the electricity in that long distance. And Tesla invented a lot of. He was trying to invent a lot of more stuff that would make the energy even free. That you can get energy just from the air, getting it from any place in the earth. Okay, so Tesla, as Eden would say, came from Eastern Europe, from today territory of Croatia. He was a Serbian ethnicity, and his parents were all Serbian priests, and his mom was always teaching him to follow the Bible, and he said the Bible was also helping him a lot in his work later. So Tesla was studying in Graz in Austria, and after that he was working for a phone company in Budapest, in Hungary. And so in the late 20s, Nikola Tesla accepted the Edison invitation and he went to America, as he referred at that time, a promised land, because his dream was to use the power of Niagara Falls and build the first hydroelectric plant. And he thought that America will find the necessary funds to finance his project. So in a letter of recommendation which boss of Tesla in Budapest sent to Edison, he said this: I know two great men. One is you, and the other one is this young man. So he was offered $50,000 to complete redesigned Edison generator, and he did that after 1 year of intensive work. And he also made several patents to Edison Company, which enabled the creation of massive profit. So when everything was finished, so he went to Edison and he asked, okay, so where are my $50,000 that you promised after the ending of this project? And then Edison just said, oh, Tesla, you don't understand our American humor. Tesla just immediately resigned from the position. And so next year, like next few years are passing in trying to find a financial support. But he failed in. He also tried to establish his own company as Edison, who had his own company. He was working for himself, but he failed in that. And then in 1888 begins a collaboration with famous wealthy businessman from Pittsburgh called George Westinghouse. After that developed in a good friendship between those two people. And so Westinghouse purchased Tesla patents, and the good cooperation is established with a contract of award and payment of shares to Tesla by produced horsepower electricity. So what he promised to him is that he's gonna pay him $2.5 for every horsepower that he produced from the plant that he would make. I mean, later that's gonna be show that it's a huge number. It's gonna be impossible to pay, and so before they built in the exhibition in Chicago in 1893, Tesla and Westinghouse, they eliminated the World Fair in Chicago, used the principle of light based on Tesla polyphase system of alternating current that is still used today and forever changed humanity. So basically what they did is they had a lot of how do you say that? Illuminated lights, fluorescent lights,
The neon lights?
yeah,
Neon lights.
and they had hundreds and hundreds of neon lights, and they lighted the whole exhibition, and they write the names of some famous scientists. And at one point at the stage, Tesla was holding the light bulb, and he was letting electricity of 2 million volts going through his body, and in one hand he was holding a light bulb, and the light bulb was light bulb. and also he created an aureole around him, and the whole everybody were like just stunned and didn't know what to believe. Some people were afraid, and they left the room. And so 2 years later, he managed what he has always dreamed. So Niagara Falls is the first hydropower plant that was built based on Tesla inventions, which represents the final victory of the idea of alternating current. And just when it was expected that Tesla finally cashed his fundings and made himself financially stable, Westinghouse's company went into crisis, and Tesla decided to tear up the contract as a truly great expression of friendship for the American businessman. So no money. Yeah. Also at that time, Tesla worked on the study that would later be called X-rays. So he did not recognize the existence of harm or radiation of X-rays, and he was claiming that the wounds on his skin was caused by a contact of ozone and nitric acid with it. So he continued to work on the X-rays on that project, and he cooperated with Röntgen, to whom he sent a recording of his hand before Röntgen even patented the invention. So, but however, Tesla never patented this invention, and much of the data got destroyed in a fire in the laboratory, and all of the credits for the discovery of X-rays today belong to Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen, which Tesla congratulated to him. And in 1898 he patented a system of wireless remote controlling boats and vehicles. So he clearly demonstrated his invention in New York, and he was controlling a couple of small ships, toy ships in some pool, and observers who came to watch the presentation, they were jumping in the pool looking for the hidden wires because they thought they were being deceived or something. And that was also one of his discoveries that can be at that time compared to science fiction. So from 1899 to 1900s, Nikola Tesla was in Colorado Springs, where he was working on perhaps one of his most important research. With the financial assistance of $30,000, which was given to him by the owner of the chain hotel Waldorf Astoria, Tesla tried and succeeded to demonstrate that current of very low frequency can be transmitted through the space between the Earth's crust and ionosphere. So using this way, Tesla was able to pass the energy and light 200 light bulbs at a distance of about 40 kilometers from the place of the radiation. That was one of the examples of the free energy that anybody get from just like being on the surface of Earth. And satisfied of the fact that now he knows enough about how to turn his vision of wireless transmission of energy into work, he returns to New York, where he received the financial support from JP Morgan in the amount of $150,000 to build a Tesla Center for the transmission of radio waves along island, not far from New York. So the idea that Tesla had is that he would build a tower in Long Island that would be about 50 meters high, and that he can use the tower to send the wirelessly transmit energy to all over the world. And so the tower actually was built, and so it was 50 meters high and had a 20-meter high copper dome on the top, and it was supposed to represent the first transmission tower in the world that can be able to wirelessly send signal energy to any part of the world. Tesla inventions and transmission tower would turn the Earth into a huge dynamo producing electrical energy in endless amounts. Using that energy, Tesla wanted to use his tower to supply ships all over the world, to destroy enemy ship if that's necessary, to power the industry, transportation, and to immediately establish communication with any part of the globe. However, due to disagreement between Tesla and Morgan about the final use of the tower, Morgan withdrew all his funds, explaining with also one more funny question. So he said to Tesla, if everybody can use energy that we produce, so where can I put the meter? So if anybody can use it for free, where can I put the meter? So Tesla was again left without any cent. So the tower was raised, but incomplete, and later it was destroyed in the World War I for security reasons. Yeah, so one more thing, Tesla, during his life, he didn't get any Nobel Prize for any of his work. So Tesla by then and today's views was certainly eccentric and unusual man. In 1915, he was offered a Nobel Prize in physics, which he was supposed to share with Edison. So for unknown reasons, he has not received any prize, but it's assumed the reason was the long-time conflict of two scientists. But also the fact that, for example, Mr. Marconi won the award for Tesla's inventions of radio. Marconi established a wireless connection between England and the United States, which brought him probably the biggest award that a man can get. But the biggest part of the invention does not belong to him. Tesla was 8 years before that in Philadelphia, where he held a conference at which he presented his vision of wireless communication. So a year later, 1943, U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that the radio was not Marconi's inventions, and that most of the credit for the inventions of radio belongs to Nikola Tesla. But that was after Tesla's death, so he didn't get any Nobel Prize. So a similar case occurred in 1937 when Tesla was again nominated for the award. Once again, he didn't receive it. In order to explain the losses of Nobel Prize, Tesla stated that all of his patents remain recorded in world literature and will be more valuable to mankind than all the Nobel Prize together, and he was absolutely right in that. During the time that Tesla lived and worked, his experiments were bordering science fiction. Even the most distinguished scientists of the period remained speechless in the front of the experiment he performed. Because of his honor work, he got his own unit that was called Tesla, and it's a unit for the magnetic induction. And it was introduced to SI system. One of the inventions, if you can say, like that Tesla made, is called a Columbus egg. So the egg of Columbus, or Columbus egg, usually means an idea or discovery that seems simple or easy after the fact. So that's like the story when when they say it's impossible to, when Columbus said that you cannot put an egg on his top, and he just smashed the egg and put it on the top. And so that was kind of, the Tesla made something that's called egg of Columbus, that was rotating on the using the magnetic field. It had an iron core stator, which 4 coils were wound. One more. Yeah, there's also some speculation that Tesla might have caused something that is called Tunguska event in Siberia. So the infamous Tunguska event took place on June 30th, 1908. So there was a huge explosion, estimated to be equivalent to 10 to 15 to whooping of 10 to 15 megatons of TNT, and it flattened a huge area of 500,000 acres of pine forest near the stony Tunguska River in central Siberia. So the devastation was wide scale, as whole herds of reindeers were destroyed and several nomadic villages were reported to have completely vanished. The explosion was heard over a huge radius of 320 miles. So many scientists and analysts give many explanations for this event. The officially accepted explanation is that 100,000 ton fragment of Encke's comet, composed purely of dust and ice, entered the atmosphere and increased its temperature and exploded over the Earth's surface, creating a fireball and shock wave, but no crater. Alternative explanation of the disaster include mini black holes or alien spaceship crashing into the Earth with the resulting release of energy. However, all these explanations might not hold ground, because historical facts point to the possibility that this event was caused by a test firing of Tesla's energy weapon. So in 1907 and 1908, Tesla wrote about destructive effects of his energy transmitters. His facility was his Warden-Slab facility was much larger than Colorado Springs device that destroyed the power station generator. Then in 1915, he stated bluntly, "It is perfectly practical to transmit electrical energy without wires and produce destructive effects at a distance. I have already constructed a wireless transmitter which made this possible." And so if he stated that, so there's maybe a chance that he actually tested that in Siberia. He said that science is so far developed that the great destructive effects can be produced at any point of the globe, at any point of time. So the last two items that I said, that I mentioned, the Columbus eggs and the massive weapon of destruction that Tesla maybe made, represent some of the many interesting facts about Tesla. Many times he was saying that he had a contact with the outer space, with that he could he can establish connection with other planets. Also, he was saying that he can use free energy taken from cosmic rays, and that he can use a planet for the transmission of energy throughout the universe without setting up any devices on them. And in the end, he was actually scared of what can be done with the Earth at a time when humanity was not ready to take control of dangerous technologies. How long?
You've got more time.
So this was just some of the scientific things that Tesla did, but there's a lot of that he didn't patent. Like he didn't patent the wireless transmission of electricity. He said and or he imagined that he can make a electric submarine that he, I say, a death ray, destructive energy.
What did he manage to patent?
He managed to patent the like three phases electricity power that like allows asymmetric current to be transferred all over the world, and I think the list of patents is more than 100. So it's but these are most significant. Yeah, wireless remote controlling boats, vehicles. Yeah, he made a Niagara Falls hydropower plant. That was the first in the world. Nikola Tesla symbolized a unifying force and inspiration for all nations in the name of peace and science. He was a true visionary, far ahead of his time in the field of scientific development. So the New York State and many other states in the USA proclaimed July 10th, Tesla's birthday. They proclaimed it as Nikola Tesla's Day. So I would like to say that Tesla was a great mind, and some people say also a great philosopher. So there were some interesting Tesla's quotes. I'd like to mention some. So one of them is, if Edison had a needle to find in a haystack, he would proceed at once with the diligence of the bee to examine straw after straw until he found the object of his search. I was sorry witness of such doings, knowing that a little theory and calculation would have saved him 90% of his labor. That was one. And one of the most favorite is the let the future tell the truth, and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs, the future for which I have really worked is mine. So there are still a lot of So one of the biggest projects that could have been made, Tesla already mentioned, is the free energy project, and that was the thing that he really hoped that it can be possible in the future. And as I was saying, he was able to transfer the electricity to 40 kilometers radius and light 200 light bulbs, and he really wanted to make the whole world just use the earth as a producer of electricity and make free energy to make available to anybody in the world, to the earth crust. And but that doesn't mean it's not a perpetuum mobile. It's another energy that it's made from nothing. It's just a free energy. And you don't have anything to add?
Fine, you done?
Yeah, that's all the stuff that from my point of view, I can say about Tesla for now. But I think it's interesting.
Do you have anything you want to say to just wrap it up?
Yeah. If I can say some more quotes about Tesla, that's really interesting. So one of the quotes that Tesla says, the way he was working on the experiment. So my method is different. I do not rush into actual work. When I get a new idea, I start at once building it up in my imagination and make improvements and operate the device in my mind. When I have gone so far as to embody everything in my invention, every possible improvement I can think of, and when I see no fault anywhere, I put into concrete form the final project of my brain. Okay, so referring to that, I think that Tesla was one of the greatest minds that lived in the 20th century and the great visionary that we can get a lot of inspiration from in the future years. And I think that for us it's important that we try to continue his work on what I mostly think is important, the free energy project, and and that's it.
Okay, good. Thanks, Marko.